Hello, everybody, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to another Thorstalk Thursday, and let's talk about the gods. So, I have a couple of points here that I would like to talk about. Uh, one, one pretty light, and the other one a little bit more heavy. So, I think let's just get right into it. I'm outside and I have some work to do, so I brought out a laptop to use, and this is where I'm keeping my notes for the moment. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is right. So outside. So especially since I'm outside right now and it's such a beautiful day, I'd like to talk about how important it is to go outside for many different reasons. Now, I'm not going to bring up the normal health benefits, for your body and for your mind. Really, I'm talking more about spiritual aspects here. So I want to bring up about how important it is for many different spiritual reasons to go outside. Now, one of the spiritual reasons is, you know, maybe you're not a negative person, maybe you're not, depressed, but I think everybody gets down every now and then, like I've talked about in other videos. And especially in these times, it's good to go outside. Going outside, especially on a beautiful day, can bring peace into your life. It can bring happiness just by being outside. You just feel happy. You may smile and laugh for no reason. It's nature. It comes natural within us. And being in nature, it's good since it brings. By the way, my dog is here with me, so if you hear any barking, it's from her. Going outside can bring clarity to you. So maybe you have maybe you have something on your mind, right? And it's difficult to understand something. Or maybe you're writing a book and you have writer's block. Going outside brings it's almost like ventilation. It brings new air and it brings new things into your life. It's very important. And especially if you're one of those people, which most people nowadays, especially in my age group, we're, as a generation, we're lost. I've heard people call this generation the lost generation. Everybody's wandering through life, taking substances. Nobody knows what to do. And I think part of that is since we're inside all the time, or, that mass sickness that happened a couple years ago, the big sickness, the big C, that definitely did not help anything. I think after that, people have been more lost than ever on a mass scale. And it's becoming an epidemic where nobody knows what to do anymore. Everyone's just on their phones. And, maybe you have a job, but you can have a job and still be lost. You can be going to school and you can be going to school and still be lost. All lost means is you have no sense of direction with where you want to go in your life, and you feel stuck within a career maybe, or you feel stuck within knowing what you want to do in your life. You feel unfulfilled. You feel like you may have no purpose. And going outside can help with this. I'm not saying it's a one-time thing. You go outside for 5 seconds and all of a sudden, you're going to be the next Elon Musk. Maybe sometimes you go outside and that one time, that's it. That one time helped you and that's all you needed. But even so, going outside is important. And it's going to be different for everybody. Not everybody's going to get those feelings the first time they take a break in nature. But as animals, since we forget that we're animals too, it's very important to go back to our roots and go back to nature. Sometimes, and I think almost everybody goes through this, you feel like, you feel bored, you feel gray. Let's say that you feel gray, right? You do not feel negative, you do not feel positive, you just feel bland, right? And you do not know what to do to feel better. You do not know what to do to feel happy, right? And in the society we're in, we have everything at the tip of our fingers. We have, you want to watch a movie, you just press a button and it's on. You want to eat popcorn, you put it in the microwave, you press a button, you need to wait a few minutes, but it's there. Nothing is real anymore. Nothing is substanceful. So after a long time of this, everything gets boring. And I think going back outside can show us how our lives really should be, how substanceful life can be. It's very important to do this since your mind will be pleased. Your mind, like I've said in the video before this one, your body's like a child. So you need to show your body what it wants. If you're hopeless and if you're directionless mentally too, your body's going to be lost. Since your body will tell you what it needs, but it's up to you to show it, right? It's up to you to show it the love that it needs. And this brings me into my second point. I wanted to talk about how I've been seeing a ton of self-hatred recently. So many people. I really did not realize this since I've gone through a period where I've stopped watching news often. I've not been in current events so much recently. In just current current society, I've not been secluding myself, but I've been trying to stay more in nature and trying to be more healthy in many ways. And I think our society is taking a dip for a negative turn. It's Our society is not going in a way that I think is beneficial for our people, but I've been seeing many people are going through times of self-hatred, and I've spoken to people online that also have been going through self-hatred, and this is very negative, especially for the spiritual people. Self-hatred is horrible, okay? And obviously hatred is bad in general, but self-hatred is, number one, it's unproductive. Number two, it's self-destructive. No bars intended. If you hate yourself, how are you going to be able to progress in life? Right? You're going to hate everything you do. You hate your voice, hate the way you look. You hate the color of your skin, maybe. You hate your ancestors. You hate all of it. All you're thinking of is hate. What does self-hatred and all of these bad people in history, like, you know, Adolf Hitler, what do people like he and self-hatred have in common? Hatred of something. Hate is never a good thing, since hate only leads to the downfall of anything. And right now, we're going through a mass period of hatred in general. There's a hatred for people with a lighter skin tone. There's a hatred for, Northern Europeans. There is a mass hatred going on right now, and it's not good. The only way to combat this hatred is to show people how to love. It is to show people how to put down their pitchforks, right? Metaphorically, and realize that if we wanted to, right now, we could live in a very peaceful society. Maybe not everywhere, maybe not in every country. But right now in the United States, we have the tools, and other Western countries, we have the tools with us, no matter what the government enforces, so that we can be peaceful. We can join as one people, and we can have a peaceful society where there does not need to be any more race wars, or you do not need to hate yourself for being a certain color, since right now, who's being oppressed? The only people that I would say are oppressed in these Western countries are the people that the government is governing. We are not oppressing each other. Yes, there are people that are racists, and actually racism is going up. More people are becoming racist, even if they do not call themselves racist or see it right out. Racism is becoming more popular again, and I think that's negative. No matter if you're racist, no matter if you're racist against people of a darker tone or a lighter tone or whatever, racism is racism. You can call it what you want, but it's racism. And it's negative. So we need to stop this. We need to realize that all we need to do is accept one another. And I will say, in some respects, we are becoming more accepting, right? Like the becoming more accepting of the LGBTQ and all that. I think acceptance is very good. You should be able to accept people. You do not need to agree with their views, Sorry if the microphone sounded bad. You do not need to agree with their views, right? But as long as it's not hurting anybody, no one's forcing anything on anyone else, acceptance is a good thing. We should all be able to accept each other. I accept that you have differing views than I do, right? We do not need to all be the same. Since if everybody was the same, what's the difference between that and communism? Whether it's forced or not, we should not all be the same. Everyone should be different, right? I just I just really think that self-hatred, even if you're not hating yourself in particular, it's your ancestors, it's not good. It's still hatred, right? You're not going to be able to reach your spiritual potential if you're locked in hatred. You understand? Since one of the first steps to becoming enlightened is being able to love and accept other people. And if you're hating your ancestors and the people that your ancestors are from, you cannot be enlightened since you're hating people. That's not enlightenment. You need to be able to understand history and say, yeah, these people did some bad things, but look at them now. They're not doing those bad things. And things happen, right? Life happens. It's not easy to say, but again, one of the best examples, look at Jesus. When he got crucified, he said, forgive them, for they know not of what they do. It takes a strong person to forgive people that have done him wrong and have hurt him and have set him for doom. It's very important to be able to love people. And right now, we in the West, we live in a time where there's not too much wrongings going on by other people. Now, I'm not saying to forget about these things. You can forgive and not forget. You can forgive someone and still try and lawfully persecute them. I believe in that. I believe in law, and I believe that people should be held accountable for their actions, right? Nobody should be able to skate off scot-free. Everybody in the end is accountable for their actions, whether you want to be or not. But that does not mean that you cannot accept other people. Since really, if you cannot forgive somebody, if you hold grudges, the only person you're hurting is yourself. Eventually, they'll deal with the consequences of their actions, and they'll get over it. In a spiritual sense, they'll go to another life. And if you cannot forgive people, you're going to be in the same place. You're going to be in a negative loop. That's just, it's karma, and that's how the spirit works. These things, it's like water. Water holds. If you're holding in this negative water, this bad water, it's nasty, it's got bacteria in it, it's growing mold, and you're holding it on, you're going to take this throughout your lives, no matter where you go. If you keep holding it, it's going to weigh you down. It's dead weight. Again, this is going to be another short video, probably shorter than my last video, actually. But I wanted to talk about these things. It's such a beautiful day, so I do not want to ruin the beautiful energy. I just wanted to express how important it is to be a positive person and accept other people as long as they're doing, I would not say the right thing, since I think the right thing is pretty subjective, but as long as they're being lawful and they're being a good person, they're not doing bad things to others, they're not harming or forcing things upon other people, they're not bullying. It's important to be able to love yourself and to accept other people. And again, like I said, you do not need to be friends with these people. You do not need to have dinner parties with them or invite them over, or, you do not need to do these things to accept them. Acceptance just means, I have no issue with you. You want to color your hair crazy colors, go ahead. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to call you crazy. I'm not going to look at you like you have four heads. And even if I do, I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm not going to try and stop you for doing what you're doing. That's ignorance. Hate is ignorance. It's another word for ignorance. So if you hate yourself, it's ignorance. If you hate your ancestors, it's ignorance. And someone, I forget his name, but he is an activist for against racial discrimination, and And I really like his message. His message was, hate is ignorance, and the worst enemy of ignorance is knowledge. The most powerful thing we can use against ignorance is knowledge. History, books, these are things that we can combat. Ignorance is not something that can outlast knowledge. Since knowledge is power, like they say, it really is. Since if you educate yourself on the way that history has been, you can see the trends in life. You can see how, oh, these people are are starting to hate people, even if they were wronged by these people in the past, even if their ancestors were wronged by these people, now they're hating them. When we live in a society where no one's being wronged, we're going towards racism, we're going towards segregation, and we're going towards a more negative trend. It's been it's been proven in history. These things have been done before. Knowledge is power. If you find yourself hating other people, or you find yourself hating yourself and you want to do something about it, the first thing I would say to do is read. Go go search up history, right? Go maybe to the library and look at and not like history books that we get in school, since those are censored. Everything, whether you want to believe it or not, it's sort of censored, especially in the United States. We're not getting the full history of the world. You need to really look deep into history to figure these things out, and you need to be able to look outside of an echo chamber. And if you do not know what an echo chamber is, it means you're talking to other people who agree with your ideals. You cannot argue with people who agree with you, since you're not going to disagree. Disagreeing is not a bad thing, right? I do not believe that arguing all the time is good, but you cannot argue with someone that you agree with. And to my point, you cannot keep reading books that are approved by the same people. Even if they're different people writing them, if they're approved by the same, board of people, it's all going to be the same message. It's an echo chamber. You're not going to be able to get opposing views or other historical accounts, since it's all approved by the same people. It's all the same people, right? So being able to look out at different views, comparing and contrasting, reading in between the lines of history, um, theorizing. Like a scientist, you need to theorize and you need to test these hypotheses that you're creating and see if it seems like it makes sense. Since most history that is available to the common people, it's not really that what's the word I'm looking for? It's more simplified, and it's not history that you can really think too much about. It's almost like saying, this man, John Johnson, he went over to, Skull Island, right, for example, and he took it over. They pose it as a fact, not something you can dispute, right? And I'm not saying that history is not factual. Of course, some of it's going to be factual, but also, like they say, history was written by the victors. So how do we know that all of it is 100% true, right? Especially, we're looking at history written by people in modern times. And by modern, I mean at least the end of the 1800s till now. I would say these are sort of modern times, where maybe your grandparents could have talked to some of these people, or your grandparents' parents may have talked to some of these people. This is more modern time, right? So how could we know everything about what happened back in maybe 500, right? Or the year zero, if if we're getting it from people writing it now, and to are looking at more modern sources? That's why it's important to know the difference between first-hand accounts, second-hand accounts, third-hand accounts. We're getting maybe like fourth-hand accounts by now. Like, we're getting people reading these books that were presented by the school, and these books that were presented by the school may not have gotten it from historians. They may have gotten it from books about these historians, right? And these historians are even so, they're secondhand, since they were not there. So it's like the game of telephone. As we go along, everything gets more watered down. You go from juice to now it's juice that's, 25% water. Then it's juice that's 50% water. Now it's juice that's, 75% water, right? So how much juice do you have in there? There's barely any juice left. And then nowadays we're getting 1% juice, 99% water. That's why it's very important to really do research and to really, you know, if you even if you watch videos, watch multiple videos by different people about the same topic. See what they talk about is in common, right? And especially look at historians, look at people who are translating these texts, look at people who are really good at their jobs and are really accredited, since they're going to have more of a better understanding. There's the ravens, that's Odin. They will have a better understanding than these historians that take from them. You know what I mean? Since even if they take from these people who are accredited, they may have more of a bias and they may have more of an opinion. And history really does not work with opinions. History should be more factual than anything. The only opinion that should matter within history is an academically based theory, right? Which, of course, a theory may have more of an opinion in it, but at least your opinion is not saying, oh, well, I think that, the Romans wore feathers on their head. Well, where are you getting this from? Yeah, you think that, but where are you getting this from? Where are your sites? Where is anything? Where are the texts to prove that your theory has any basis? These people that are really, really well knowledgeable historians, really accredited historians that have been to these places, they have been to Rome, they have been to these countries and have been at the excavation sites and have been at these sites and have translated. Oh, the raven is looking at me. Um, the people that have been there, their theories are more based. They can say, I saw that whatever it was, maximum Silius, right? That translates to the most power, right? For example, I'm not giving you actual translations, but right? It seems like every time they have used this, they're speaking in more of a metaphorical sense. So perhaps when they're talking about the most power, they do not mean that this person had the most power. They mean that maybe he was a strong fighter, since it always has something to do with a warrior. It's very historically credible. It's not just some Joe's opinion, right? It's not even like even your teacher. Your teacher may not have been there. Your teacher may not have been at these places like these historians may have, right? He's reading from these historians, or she's reading from these historians. Your teacher was not there, and if they were, that's different. But anyway, enough of my tangent. These are the points that I wanted to present to you people. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I hope you guys have a beautiful night, whatever time it is you're seeing this. And I hope you people can enjoy nature. I hope you can enlighten yourselves if that's your wish, if that's on your path. And I hope you can, if you do hate yourself and if you do hate your ancestors, I hope you find it within yourself to rationalize why it's not good to do this and to find love within yourself. Okay? Like Bob Marley said, one love. And good night to all, and to all a good night.